Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Pulse of the Ring. Today I have someone I've known him since he was a little lad. This is Kyle the Shredder. How are you today?
What's going on, man? I'm good. I'm good. A little tired, but overall, I'm good. Chilling.
It's 2 p.m. How are
Yeah,
you?
no, I stayed up. I stayed up late last night. I was working on some stuff, so just didn't get much sleep. I guess.
So what you working on? Anything wrestling related?
No. So I have a podcast. So I've been working on stuff with my cousin. Our podcast is called the Cousins of the Cosmos podcast. Um, so yeah, just like scheduling like
Mhm.
what our topics are going to be for the next couple of months and things like that. I should have gone to sleep, but I was like, let me just get this out of the way while I have it on my mind.
Yeah, I was supposed to stay up late last night so I
Mm.
could edit some podcasts, but then I ended up falling asleep.
Yeah, I figure that'll happen to me too sometimes.
Um, I had some dude come out here today to check my washing machine because it broke a few days ago. So I was like, you know
Mm.
what? It's probably best if I
Yeah,
sleep.
I've been there too, where I have something to do the next day, or somebody's coming to do something, and I'm like, damn, I have to be up to let this person in the house or whatever, and I'm like, just so tired.
Yeah. Actually, my phone was on vibrate because we were
Mm,
watching TV before I fell asleep. And
mm.
then all of a sudden I just hear boom, 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 boom. I'm like, what the fuck? Oh, shit. All right. So I had to hurry up and put some pants on. And yeah,
Yep.
now I get a new washing machine because they couldn't fix it.
Oh, great. Sounds fun.
But welcome to Pulse of the Ring, where I like to talk to people, mainly indie wrestlers, and you were in the business. I don't
Mhm.
know if you're still in the business, but you're someone who knows a little bit. And you and your dad used to run ACW, where
Yes, sir.
to go to every Thursdays, and then it changed to Wednesdays.
Yep, yep.
Wrestle at the Golf View Center.
Yes, yes, yes. Well,
So
at first it was kickers at first. Remember, we had that. It wasn't even ours, and there was some stupid ass redneck crazy dance party bar that we used to do shows at.
yeah, it was fun there, but then the owner just became a dick.
Yeah,
So
total dick.
it was great that we were able to move. But
Mm.
how did you find wrestling?
Oh, okay. So it's interesting. So I would say, um, I had a. This might be a weird story, but I had a Game Boy, right? As most like '90s and 2000s kids did. I had a Game Boy, and I remember being at my dad's shop. My dad had a pawn shop. Um, so I was at my dad's shop one day, and I think I had known of The Rock because at this point he had started doing like the Tooth Fairy and the game plan and stuff like that. Um, so I kind of known of him. And so I was at my dad's pawn shop and I had this Game Boy and like at like any kid, you want as many games for your game system that you could have, you know what I'm saying? So he had I don't know if you guys could see it. I have a poster back there for it. It's like WWF Royal Rumble or something like that.
Oh, I remember
Um
the game. I don't know if I can see it on here though.
yeah. So he had that like in the box, like just sitting on the shelf in the store. I was like, "Hey dad, can I have this?" And he was like, "No." Right? So so like any good nice young man would. I stole it because it was my dad's shop. So I knew I couldn't get any legal trouble out of that, you know. Um, but I took it because on the cover, I think was The Rock. So I'm like, wait, I know that guy. I know that guy. So I took that. So that was probably my first real experience with wrestling was like playing that game. Cause then obviously I play as The Rock, but then in that game is Triple H and Undertaker and Jericho. So then I started like figuring out who these people were. And so that's probably really what got me into wrestling was like I want to learn more about these little like 16-bit people that I'm playing as all the time. So,
So growing up, who was your favorite wrestler?
ooh, all right. So growing up again, I'm like a 2000s kid. So like most kids from the 90s and stuff would say Stone Cold and The
Mhm.
Rock and stuff like that, which I would say The Rock because again, he's kind of what got me into wrestling. But Rey Mysterio was probably the first wrestler that I really was like, that's my guy. Like any kid. I mean, he comes out in a mask and he's just flying all over the place. So yeah, Ray was probably the first guy when I really started watching wrestling that I was like, yeah, this is my favorite wrestler. So probably Rey Mysterio.
Rey Mysterio is one of my all-time favorite
Yep.
wrestlers. But I will say this: Dom Mysterio is right.
Mm.
Rey Mysterio is a horrible dad, horrible mentor that everybody turns on him. His son, Eddie, Batista, El,
Yeah, it's true.
uh,
Santos Escobar turned
there
on
we
him at one
go,
point. Yep.
and Carlito. You know,
Yep.
Ray is the common denominator. I love you, Ray,
It's true. It's true.
but you got to work something out.
Right. Maybe it's one of those things. It's like maybe, if everybody's turning on you, maybe they're not, maybe you're what I'm saying? Maybe you're the problem.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe.
But then it's like, obviously, I like Stone Cold and The Rock, but I was always an Undertaker guy.
Mm,
With something about him, it was just different.
right.
And it's like the dead man coming back from the grave.
Right.
And I was also a huge fan of Thriller, so
Of course. Of
but
course.
Taker, Rey Mysterio, those were always my favorite.
Yeah.
So, how did you and your dad get to running ACW?
All right. So obviously, again, yeah, play the Game Boy game, get into wrestling, and that was probably like 2004, somewhere around there, and then probably by 2005 was when I really started like fully watching wrestling and all that stuff. So from 2005 up until 2013, I was just like a huge fan, just mega fan. Like my whole room, even still, it's kind of wrestling, but like my whole room just wrestling. I had every wrestling action figure that I could get. Like just absolutely loved wrestling. So I needed something to kind of do. I wasn't doing good in school. I had no like extracurricular activities. I had no interest in really anything other than pro wrestling. Um, so like 2013, again, not doing too good in school. My dad was kind of nervous for like what's this kid gonna do because he has no interest in anything. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Um, so as a kid, I would go to at first it was FCW. They used to run shows in all around Florida, but they would come to Newport Richie and do shows and stuff like that. And then um, also ACW was already a thing, and Ralph Mosca was running it. So growing up, I used to go to indie shows, which was ACW and the FCW like developmental shows and stuff like that. So yeah, 2013. I guess they kind of like Ralph needed kind of like a new kind of, I guess you could say, a money guy, right? It's like such a negative term, like a money mark, but like in a way, it's basically what was needed. Like he still wanted to run shows, but he just didn't have the funds to do it. So this dude Jeff, who is like he like runs the Jewish Community Center here, which is where they would run shows. Um, he knew my dad through the pawn shop and stuff like that. So basically, Jeff made the connection between Ralph and my dad, being like, "Hey, you need someone that can help run these shows, and you have a son that loves this stuff." So that's kind of how it started. They went out and had like lunch or something like that one day, and I have no clue the number, but my dad purchased the company for X amount of dollars, probably not too much because my dad was very good and very cheap and stuff like that. So I'm sure he didn't pay too much money for that company. But yeah, so lo and behold, I remember he came home one day and was like, "Hey, I just want to let you know we own a wrestling company now." So that was kind of it. But he didn't do it for the money. Like bro, indie wrestling, there's very little like money.
yeah.
It's very hard. So he didn't do it for the money or like anything. He literally just did it for me because he was like, "This is an opportunity for you to do something." Like he invested, and in reality, was trying to make it something for me to eventually take over and try and make it into a business or get me working with WWE in some shape or form, something like that. So
And did that help you with your grades?
no, I ended up dropping out of school because I just focused on wrestling the whole time. um, I think that was part of the problem, but also in a way, I guess part of the solution. Like I just wanted nothing to do with school, and so doing the wrestling stuff, it also made school harder because I was doing wrestling on the weekends and stuff like that. Um, so I kind of just ended up leaving school, which I did get my diploma a couple years ago. I did online go through and get my high school diploma. Not even a GED. I got my actual high school diploma through whatever website it is. But yeah, so I do have my diploma. That's good. But yeah, I just ended up kind of dropping out there and
Well, it ain't really
doing
for
stuff.
everybody.
Yeah, yeah.
Like some people have to learn different ways.
Mhm.
Can't always sit at a desk because even when I was in school, I would get bored super quickly just sitting at a desk, and
Yeah,
I used to get in trouble all the time because I would get up and I would dance or I would do something like, "He's a really good student. He just can't sit down." It's like I'm bored.
right, right.
It's interesting.
No,
So
100%. I was definitely bored and like I hated. I hated math. That was like my it still is. I still hate math. So like when I'd be in math class, that was the worst because I would just fully like disassociate and just like stare off into the sunset or fall asleep and stuff like that. So yeah.
So I don't remember. You've wrestled a few matches, right? I remember you were a
So
manager more than you were.
right. So technically I started managing and I'm like trained to like I learned how to bump and hit the ropes and all that stuff. But I just realized like wrestling in itself, like actually wrestling wasn't for me.
Hmm.
Um so yeah, I started off, doing like commentary and ring announcing stuff like that, and then I myself wanted to try managing. Uh, and AP or Alex, he needed somebody to kind of like be his heater a little bit. So I was like, all right, this is a perfect opportunity for me to kind of learn this stuff. So yeah, mainly I was a manager, but there were a few times like at Tampa Bay Pro where they were like, like a storyline of like you're gonna have a match. You know what I'm saying? So like there were a few times I did that. I know probably the most memorable one when me and Richie Bedford and Jake Jones won like the Brawl USA tag titles.
Yeah.
It was just supposed to be them versus Axe and Gabe, and it was just gonna be me and Mama on the outside and stuff. And I remember Rex coming up to me and being like, "Bro, I know you're not a wrestler, but I want to wrestle. I want to like actually do something, not just stand at ringside. So like, can we make this like a 6-man tag match?" And I'm like, as long as I don't get hurt, fuck it. So I remember we had like a 6-man tag match for the tag titles, and stuff like that. So that's probably the most memorable one for sure. But yeah, so technically I have had a few matches, but never really out here working like that.
Because I've been away from wrestling since about the year that Rex passed away. That summer
Mm,
was my last match. I think it was
right.
2019.
Yeah.
Like I've thought about getting into like managing or doing the referee type of thing
Mm,
because everybody when they first get into wrestling wants to do the whole yeah I want to be a superstar da 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 da.
of course.
Then they take that first bump and it's like ooh.
Right.
So I've always felt like no one shines a light too much on like what being a manager is or being a
Mm,
referee. Those are both two very important things.
right.
How did you attack being a manager?
So at first, again, like my boy Alex needed kind of like a heater to because he was going through like a character, not even a character change. He finally got a character that we came up with because before he was just generic,
Hmm.
and I was like, you're kind of a small guy, so I think it'd be funny if you have like a womanizer gimmick because people just wouldn't expect that from you and stuff like that. And so he was doing that, and then he just needed someone, I guess, in a way to kind of help guide him. So that's where I was like, I'll help manage you. So I guess that was how I came into it, just like trying to help showcase him and help him figure out what his character is on like a real time basis, not just me standing in the back and being like, yeah, you did a good job and just change this, change that. I could actively, what I'm saying, tell him in the moment, hey, switch this up, hey, do this to this person in the heat, things like that to help with his character. So yeah, just trying to help him like hone in on what the actual character of like Alex Perry was.
And RP to him. Miss him
Yep.
every day. What was the best part about being a manager? I know you said something. You said like being able to be able to correct stuff
Mm.
in the match, but what else was like some of your favorite parts about being a
So
manager?
I think I think it's like I'm like a big comedy guy. I just love comedy. I love making people laugh.
Hmm.
And so like even in times when it was like I'm trying to be serious, every like if anybody for some reason watches a match that I'm involved in, you're gonna see like some form of like comedy. I'm gonna do something to try and make the crowd laugh and stuff like that. So that was definitely part of it, and extending on that, I think like the improvisation of some things, like obviously the people in the match put the match together for the most part. Sometimes you call it out there, but like put the match together and go piece by piece, which I was obviously involved in. But a lot of my stuff, like as a manager, as a heel manager, you don't call stuff like in the heat. You know what I'm saying? It's like, oh yeah, there's gonna be heat, and I just say like, yeah, at some point pull the ref, and the person will come over to me and I'll do something. I'm not being like, yeah, I'll do this and do that. I'll just like just do so. I like the improvisation of it. I remember one time I was managing Catalina Perez, and we had a show in Georgia. I think she worked uh, this chick Roxy or something like that. And I remember we're out there, and there's a whole new crowd that we've never been in front of. So like I'm trying to feel it out and get heat off of them, and I'm getting great. We're doing great. We're rocking and rolling. And I just remember at one point somebody dead ass threw a Twinkie at me, like threw a package of Twinkies at me. Like this person went to the vending machine and bought Twinkies and decided to throw them at me instead of, eat them. So
Yeah.
they dead ass threw a Twinkie at me, or the pack. It was a sealed package. It was a sealed package. Threw it at me and hit the floor. And I looked down and realized what it is. I pick it up and I'm like looking around and I see Troy Hollywood in the crowd and I just see him like just doing this. So I just go and I just start eating, like ravagely eating the Twinkie because obviously that's what everybody would have expected the fat guy to do, right?
Yeah.
So huge pop. Obviously, like we still had crazy heat, but that was a great moment for everybody to just be like, "Oh, this guy's fucking hilarious." So I love that, like the improvisation and the ability to just like that wasn't something that was called. I didn't tell somebody to go throw a Twinkie at me. It just happened, and I just reacted to it. So
So in wrestling, what would you say is the hardest part about it? The mental part or the physical?
I mean, so for me, obviously, like I didn't do too much of the physical.
Hmm.
So I would definitely even not to discredit that, obviously, because I've seen a lot of shit. I've seen a lot of injuries and stuff like that. So it's not to discredit it, but I think the mental part is kind of like an underrated, not underrated, but like under talked about aspect of it. Like the physical, everybody sees that. You watch Monday Night Raw and you see somebody take something and they start grabbing their shoulder and you go, oh man, they may have just dislocated their shoulder. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The mental, nobody talks about the mental. So like me personally, I dealt with a lot of stuff. It's a lot of it's a lot of fake people in wrestling. You know what I'm saying? So like dealing with that was a big thing in like 2019 and a reason why I stepped away for a while because like I was just dealing with like a lot of negative people, a lot of fake people, a lot of people that were promising me things or telling me things and then they switched up on me and stuff like that. So I think maybe the mental just off the fact that yeah, like it's not as talked about as the physical because it's not as you can't see it. So
And how did you like deal with? I know you said you stepped away, but
mm.
how did you deal with like some of the mental parts of it? Like, did you kind of talk to people? What was your remedy for those type of things before you stepped away?
um yeah, no. The hard part, I guess that's the hard part. Like, because I think for me in that situation at that time, the people that I would have talked to were the people that were kind of against me at the time. You know what I'm saying? Like those were the people I was dealing with. So like I actually felt it was a very dark time, very we'll get deep. I was very suicidal. There was times where I was contemplating doing stuff and whatnot. So yeah, I really felt it during that time. I really felt alone. Like I felt like I was definitely on like an island by myself. Um, but I will say I met Elias Roman, who's like kind of my partner with wrestling stuff and whatnot. I met him because he was a fan and he like found my stuff and he was just replying to my stories and then we just started talking and stuff like that. He was a big help in that sense of like he, I would once we became good friends, I would just tell him like, yeah, bro, shit's bad. So he was like the one person I could talk to, and he like I credit my life to him because without him helping pull me out of this, I don't know if I'd still be here. Um, but yeah, I really didn't do too much to like remedy it, so I don't recommend that for people. Definitely talk to somebody, even like a therapist or something like that. But it definitely got to a point where after a few conversations with him and just kind of like some internal stuff, I guess I just kind of was able to pull myself out of it. I guess like I just felt like what am I doing? Like I'm just here and I'm depressed and sad. And I left wrestling. I got away from these people, but I'm still sad and depressed and whatnot. So like what am I? You know what I'm saying? I just had to have, I guess, like a check in with myself and try and like just pull myself out of the mud.
Yeah. I kind of actually not even kind of I do understand that because after everything with Rex and AP,
Mm,
um, it was that whole from 2019 up until I started the first podcast, I think in 2022, maybe. I was kind of jaded from wrestling. I didn't really feel like going to shows, didn't want to watch like WWE or anything like that.
right.
And I should have talked to somebody. Yeah, I tried to also, but the VA sucks.
Mm,
Instead of actually giving me somebody to talk to, they were like, "Here, take these antidepressant meds," and I'm like, "I
mm,
don't want to do the meds. I want to talk to somebody."
Right.
I credit my brother and my cousin who they were like, "Oh, hey, we're gonna be doing this podcast talking about current events in wrestling. And would you want to do it?" And I was like, "Yeah, you know what? I might as well." So then that gave me the idea to do the Pulse of the Ring, and like with this, everybody wants to interview the people in the WWE, the AEW, and all the big people,
Right.
but not too many people focus on the indie wrestling part of it. So that's when I was like, you know what? That's a niche that nobody's people are doing, but no one's focusing on. And then
Right.
that's just like, I might as well focus that on my time on that. And being a former professional wrestler, I can talk to people better than other people can who haven't really done it.
100% for sure.
So when it comes to uh the feds, like AEW,
Mm.
WWE, I always tell people don't try to constantly go to them and to try to find a local indie event. How do you feel about like indie wrestling and where it falls into the broader spectrum of professional wrestling?
Yeah, I definitely think from a fan's perspective, like obviously it's cool going it's not even just cool. It's like if you're a wrestling fan, it's unbelievable going to like a WWE event, right? Going in, like I've been privileged enough to go to multiple WrestleManias, and every time you walk through like that tunnel and you see that stage, you instantly get goosebumps, right? That's such an insane moment and stuff like that. So that's cool. But there's something that I guess the intimacy about like indie wrestling is it's smaller. It's normally in a warehouse or like a hockey rink, or you know what I'm saying, it's in a way smaller spot, so there's something definitely more intimate about it. And I think too, I again going to indie show, like going to FCW, right? FCW was developmental, so it wasn't an indie show, right? But it obviously had that vibe of an indie show. They were doing it in a Jewish community center in front of 200 people. But the idea that I would go to those shows at like 7 years old, and I was watching Kofi Kingston and Dolph Ziggler and Heath Slater and Evan Bourne, like seeing all these guys that then I remember seeing, going to a FCW show and seeing Kofi Kingston, and then the next Tuesday he legitimately debuted on ECW, and I was like, that's the guy I just saw in person. Like that's so cool. So even though that was developmental, that could still happen by going to an indie show, because a lot of indie shows, there's some guys that are indie, vets and stuff, but there's a lot of guys that are trying to get to WWE. So there's a good chance that if you go to an indie show, you're gonna you're gonna be watching people that may end up on NXT or on Dynamite or Ring of Honor or something like that in the very near future. JC Jane, that's a great example. Anybody that came to an ACW show from like 2017 to like 2020 saw Avery Taylor, and now they all get to say, yeah, the NXT Women's Champ. I used to go watch her all the time for $8 on a Wednesday night, and now she's in WWE. So that's definitely like a big thing for sure. It's cool to go to those big events, but I think that's really important. You got to support indie wrestling because we obviously don't want that to like die and stuff like that. But yeah, as a fan, that's a cool thing that could happen to you, is like you may be seeing the actual future of the business, like a Javon Evans, same thing. He was in North Carolina working for Firestar and working for DPW, and now this man just was in the Royal Rumble in Saudi Arabia. So yeah, that's probably where I would say is like it's important to go there because you could legitimately be like seeing or supporting, if you buy merch and stuff like that, supporting like the future of like pro wrestling.
And just like you said, it's more intimate. I tell people when you go to a WWE event or AEW, the the wrestler might not see you because
Mm,
there's too many people. It's too big of a stadium. When
right.
you go to, and it's expensive.
Mm,
Like
this is true.
WWE is starting to price me out.
Right.
Nosebleeds is $250 per.
Right.
Oh, I'm like,
Used to be able to go to a WWE show nosebleeds for like $20, bro.
yeah, like that, and that's why I kind of like AEW. Granted, I get free tickets for them,
Mm,
but AEW is more affordable if you want to go like
right.
see them, and you get a decent spot. But I also tell people to go to one of the major promotions, like with two kids and your wife, and so a family event. It's
Right.
gonna cost you damn near 500, if not more dollars.
Right.
Go to an indie event, India like four tickets, buy a shirt per person and a few hot dogs. you're maybe spending 150, $200.
Right.
So I'm constantly like showing people like, yo, indie wrestling is the blood of professional wrestling. The WWE and everything else, they're the bones, they're the structure. But the indie wrestling is where you get to see that wrestler. Kids get to touch the wrestler. After the show,
Right.
you can take a picture with them. You don't have to pay $300 to take a
Mm.
picture with them. So I'm constantly trying to push people into getting into indie wrestling, which I won't lie, I didn't really know about indie wrestling until I became a professional wrestler. So
Mm.
I feel like I was holding myself back. So also, if I would have known there was indie wrestling, I probably would have never gone to the military. I would have just focused on the wrestling part of it.
Right.
Um, so who is someone you haven't seen wrestle in the ring but you would wish to?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I've luckily been able to see tons of people wrestle through indie wrestling or through going to WrestleManias and stuff like that. So I would say, can this be somebody that's no longer like living?
Yeah.
All right, so I would say probably Eddie Guerrero then. That would be the one. Because yeah, I've seen so many like I've gotten to see John Cena wrestle, I've gotten to see AJ Styles wrestle and Rey Mysterio. Like, I've seen all these huge names wrestle,
Hmm.
but Eddie Guerrero, I was too young and you know, by the time he passed, I was like I had just fully gotten into wrestling, so I hadn't gone to I'm saying any show, so there would have been no chance for me to see him. So he'd be the one that I would love to see wrestle in person. I think too. I'll give you another one. I don't think I've ever seen Kenny Omega wrestle because I've never been to an AEW show. I haven't gone to one yet. Um, and like he never worked like any indies in Florida or anything like that. And even like if Ring of Honor came here, I didn't really go to those shows. So he'd be another one that living I would love to see wrestle because I just haven't seen him wrestle yet.
I don't think I've seen him wrestle either.
Mm,
Yeah, no, because the times that I did go to AEW, he was dealing with diverticulitis.
right.
So and now he's on like a limited date. So
Mm,
yeah, that's one person I do also really see.
yeah.
So what are some of your favorite matches that
Ooh.
you've either been a part of or you've just seen?
Okay. So seeing is a lot easier. I could say my favorite match of all time is Unbreakable 2005, the AJ Styles versus Samoa Joe versus Christopher Daniels match. I
Okay.
think that match is obviously everybody talks about it, but that match is still like just such a benchmark for like what I guess you could say like the current era of wrestling is now because everybody models themselves like off of those guys. That match is like what started, I guess, to like change the tides. Another good one too that I love that might be a little underrated. Um, I think people loved it at the time, but now it's just like forgotten. That Fatal 4-Way match between Tyson Kidd, Tyler Breeze, Sami Zayn, and Neville on one of the earlier takeovers.
Hmm.
That's another one. I'll watch that match at least once a year. That match is those boys had something to prove, and they went out there and they proved it. Like they had an absolute banger. Matches I've been a part of. Um, I guess when the Dynasty won the Brawl USA tag titles, that was cool because again, I was technically like actually in that match, but that was just such a big moment. It was memorable because I did it with Rex on the other side, who was one of both of our closest friends. And just like the story, at least for me in Pepperfield, like we were busting our asses for like a year at that point, just trying to like do whatever we can. So the fact that somebody finally entrusted us to do something other than just like kind of be glorified like squash guys,
Yeah.
um, that meant a lot to us. So that was very emotional. So that's one. Um, try to think of another one. Uh, I could say I guess the oh okay. So there was a Catalina and Janai had a street fight. That was another fun one. That was the first time I ever went through a table, so I was nervous about that. But looking back on it, that was just like such a great match. Those girls, same thing. Uh, they had something to prove, and they went out there and proved it. And I was just glad to have a small role, even if that small role was me getting kicked through a table. But just like going back and watching that match, I actually rewatched that match recently, and it was just like, yeah, it's just a really good match. Her Catalina and Lexi also, we had that feud at the time. where I had joined the Rapture and stuff like that. And they had like their blow off. That was the same thing. Like they had something to prove and they proved it. That one's like a little dark because I was obviously again going through a lot of personal shit at the time.
Hmm.
Um, so that one has like a bit of a dark cloud, but the match itself is just a really really good match. So yeah, those are probably like three that off the top of my head I can really think about.
Wow, those are some good matches. I haven't watched the takeover match.
Mm,
Now I don't know where I would watch it because WWE
yeah,
is a thing. But I
I mean
think
it might be on YouTube possibly.
okay, yeah.
I'll see if I can find it. I'll see if I can find it and send you a link. It's hard in a sense on the indies at least of like things that you do like nobody cares, I guess, like unless you strike gold. Like there are certain people that come around that strike gold that are super instantly like super over and even on a local sphere super over and they blow up and then they start getting booked everywhere. But like if you're not one of those few people that like find a way to like hit the lottery, I guess, in a way of like figuring out what your character is or something like that, people don't really care. Like it's hard to like build up a fan base, I guess, as like a wrestler or a manager or a tag team or whatever it is on the indies.